studio today Mike Iona, who is the Director of Planning and Zoning at Colerain Township, and also the brand new Senior Planner at Colerain Township, Taylor Grunwald. Thank you so much for coming. There is so much going on in the planning department right now, and so I wanted to take a little time to just briefly find out some of the stuff that's going on. So, Mike, can I start with you? Can you tell me about the new plan?
Yes, Dana. So the new plan is called Imagine Colerain. It's an effort being led by the planning department. And the reason we call it Imagine Colerain is because we really want to look towards the future for what Colerain Township can be. Change is going to happen in any community. And the goal of a comprehensive plan is that when change happens, we're ready for it. We know where we want to be. We know what decision we want to make. The other part of a comp plan is that it helps us create change. So the township has a number of resources within the township. And then there's also a number of community organizations, resident groups, business owners. We have wonderful communities. How do we kind of align that so that we can all work together to create that positive change that we all want to see? And a big part of Imagine Colerain, which we're here to talk about today, is that the digital input survey that leads up to our digital input series.
So part of Imagine Colerain is, and having a plan in place, is just knowing where you want to use those resources. What kind of Colerain do we want to make? Not just, here's a new opportunity, here's something that's coming into the township, should we do it, should we not do it, but what do we want Colerain to look like in 10 years? Is this going to help us get closer to that, or would this make us go farther away from that? So the important part is the imagining.
Yes,
first.
Exactly. And that's a big part. So our last comprehensive plan was completed and adopted in early 2005. That's been, 15 plus years. And that comp plan, while there's still some great content in it, a lot has happened since then. And, for example, in 2005, iPhones hadn't even been released to the general public. Brick and mortar was still king in the retail service world. We were still plotting subdivisions by the hundreds, if not 200s, 300s of lots. So much has changed since then. We've gone through a housing recession, and then we've come back up, and now we're in the middle of an epidemic. So really what this does is it freshens up kind of some of those things from our previous plan, but we want to take it one step further and really think about, as staff, as a township, along with our residents and the rest of our community, about, hey, where do we imagine ourselves? Where do we want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and how do we get there?
And who would think about the fact that 2005 doesn't sound that long ago, but
Right?
it's long enough ago that there is industry that didn't exist yet.
Exactly.
So I won't think about the gray hair that I have, and we will move on to where can we look at the details of the kind of things that this plan covers?
So we built a project website. It's imaginecolerain.com. And that website is really intended to be the hub of all activity that we have going on with the plan. You're going to hear from Taylor Grunwald shortly about the survey and the digital input series that we're conducting. That will be all held and focused on. It will all be held on that website. So we've got that. And then we've got some other wonderful things on the website. What is a comp plan? We've got a digital input map where people can go and drop just a point on a map and talk about things that they'd like to have in the plan. Of course, you're going to hear about the survey and the digital input series in a minute, which we're really excited about. But imaginecolerain.com, it's an excellent resource for all the things that are happening with the comp plan. We've got a Facebook page, we've got a Twitter account, other social media, which again, you'll hear about from Taylor because she's running that. And we're really excited about it.
That's really exciting because it's a website where you can go look. We're not going to talk about every single part of this plan, but there's a lot of information. You have already brought this to trustee meetings and zoning meetings, so people who are watching those, they know a little more about this. But for the rest of us, there's a website. We can go. There's a lot of images. There's a lot of information. We don't just have to listen to one person read it. We can find all this there. But also, Taylor, I want to ask you more about this because one of the parts of the website is not just where we can read about the stuff that you're doing, but where we can be part of the stuff and we can have our input into the stuff you're doing. Tell us some different ways that that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely, Dana. So one of the things that we're really excited to be kicking off right now, amidst a pandemic where we can't be out and about and socializing the way that we used to, is our digital input series. So in addition to that digital input map that has already existed on the website where you can go in and drop the pins, we wanted to blow that up and give people more of an opportunity to engage with us and tell us what they want to see in the township. So when you go to the Imagine Colerain website, along the top there's a tab now where you can actually click in and read more about that series. And it involves a survey where folks can go in and provide input about 5 different areas. So we look at the suburban areas, we look at more of those traditional neighborhood settings, the Colerain corridor, the rural settings, and then we look at Colerain Township as a whole in that survey, and we are gathering that feedback there that is vital to the planning process. And then we are taking all of that feedback and we are conducting some actual sessions at the end of this month. We're kicking those off on August 26th, and we are so excited. So we are bringing in Jeff Steck.
Jeff Steck.
Yeah, and he's with Citizens for Urban Renewal. And so we are going to have exclusively virtual engagement sessions on Zoom, which, in today's day and age, it's so important to be able to see people face to face, even if it is on, your computer or phone screen or tablet. So we are super excited for that. It'll be every Wednesday at 6 p.m. starting on August 26th, and it's running through the end of September. And each of those sessions, again, will focus on a typical character area in Colerain. And it culminates with the session at the end, which is Colerain Township as a whole, and just talking about all of the different strengths and opportunities and places that we might want to change in the township. So we're super excited for that.
That's really important because people sometimes they hear a blurb in a meeting and they think, what does that mean? I just saw a line on an agenda, and sometimes they guess what it means. That's not always very effective because they don't necessarily always guess well. But also, these are other ways that you can be part of it. You can be part of it while the thinking is still happening, while the planning is still happening. And I see that the residents of Colerain are really involved. So this is really well set up so that they can be in that. We've been watching Zoom meetings lately. Of course, everything's a Zoom meeting right now.
Right.
And a lot of them we've been watching but not necessarily participating in. These are Zoom meetings that you can sign up to be part of so that you are also asking your questions and things like that. So that's really interesting to me. So it's important to, can they get more information on how to sign up at that website?
Yes, there are event dates there, and we're actually going to be posting the links to those Zoom meetings on the website, in addition to our Facebook page. So we have events set up on social media as well so that people can go in and RSVP. They'll be able to add it to their calendars and, plan ahead. So we're hoping to get a good turnout.
Excellent. So you can participate in these meetings from your comfy couch. But still that's key, I think.
Yes.
But still be actively engaged as part of the meeting, not just someone watching it happen, but someone who's in the meeting, but also on your comfy couch, which, again, I find useful.
And not only that, one of the other great benefits is we're going to break out into breakout rooms. So you'll be able to talk to fellow residents about what they think is important, and then come back together as kind of like a group that you work with, you work with your group, and then you come back and then you report on, the findings that your group had on what you think is important or your group thinks is important for our suburban areas, our kind of first ring, kind of traditional neighborhoods in our community, as well as, as Taylor said, the Colerain corridor. I mean, that really is such an important area, and there's so much that can happen there or that needs to be done. And this really will help us create those strategies that we'll use over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years as part of our annual work plan that we can just plug in there and then say, hey, this is where we are, this is where we want to be, and this is how we get there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Colerain has so many different voices. There's, like you said, suburban, rural, farmland still, and commercial areas, and industrial areas. And it's what makes the township so unique. It's such a big township that encompasses so many different kinds of areas. But I think sometimes as a township that big is moving forward, voices can feel like, oh, they're making all these decisions based on just the commercial people or just the suburban people or just the, and this is a way for everyone to be, if you've ever felt that way, sign up for a meeting. Make sure your voice is one of those voices, because as your voice is part of the discussions, that means when the final plan is designed, it's locked in. Your voice and your opinion is locked into the final version, and that 20 years down the road, they will be making decisions based on the things that you did in the meeting.
Exactly. And you know, that's why we did break up the series the way we did. Because Colerain does have four kind of really distinct areas. You've got your rural areas kind of on the west side of Colerain Avenue. You've got a suburban area that kind of like curls around 275 down on Ronald Reagan, 74 area. And then on the east side of Colerain Avenue, you have like your Groesbeck, your Northbrook. And then, you know, what really unites all those different areas is the Colerain corridor. So, you know, that's why we really, truly believe that the Colerain corridor is such an important part of this plan. We've got a great plan that we did last year for what happens in between the right-of-way. But now we want to talk about what happens outside of that street and what that next generation of Colerain Avenue look like. Colerain Avenue 2.0. You know, hopefully, you know, we'll be having discussions of the renaissance of Colerain Avenue. But, you know, this plan really will talk a lot about what will happen there. But then also, you know, each of those areas kind of has their own specific needs. Like homeowners, residents, business owners in that rural area have their own specific kind of issues or things that they want to see. And then, you know, the same thing when you're in your like first ring suburban areas or your suburban areas. So that's why we really wanted to break it up so that we could have that feedback just based on that area. And maybe that feedback doesn't come from just residents that live in that specific area, but residents that live somewhere else in the township that would say, hey, when I travel through there, gosh, it would be nice to see such and such type of business or such and such type of amenity or recreation type of thing or something like that. So it's really an opportunity for everybody to give feedback on each kind of unique area in the township.
Well, since part of the method of feedback is really tied to this website and these sessions where they can sign up for the Zoom sessions, and also the survey, I want to talk to one more person from your planning department, and I want to talk to Jesse. Now we're going to take a few minutes with Colerain Township Planner Jesse Urbanzik, who is going to show us exactly how to click through the survey when you go to imaginecolerain.com. Jesse, thanks so much.
Thanks, Dana. Thanks for having us. So just go to imaginecolerain.com, and before you even can click on anything, there'll be a pop-up that will ask you, hey, do you have 15 minutes to take our digital input survey? So click on that if you have 15 minutes. We really appreciate it. The survey lays out everything we want to capture in the next few decades of the township and what we're trying to accomplish with this plan. And it's separated by different areas of the township. So you'll have chances to really pinpoint on certain ideas that you want to bring to the table. We asked 3 main questions for each section of the township. And those are, what trends are affecting this certain part of the township? Describe 1 or 2 ideal scenes that you would like to capture in the future. And then lastly, what's the biggest challenge or question facing this part of the township? And it'd help if I told you the parts of the township that we're trying to focus on, and that's traditional neighborhoods. So you have your more Groesbeck, Northbrook neighborhoods, suburban living, so you have your Peach Grove, Daleview, Pleasant Run neighborhoods. And then you have the rural areas, which encompasses all of western Colerain. And then you have the Colerain Avenue commercial corridor. And then you'll also have the township as a whole. So if you just want to talk about the township as a whole, you're more than welcome to do that.
That's important because those same 3 questions, what kind of trends are you seeing, will get a whole lot of different answers. People just observe different things, but also what kind of scenes do you want to be seeing is going to be different depending on what your family wants to see or your business wants to see and your company. Colerain is made up of families and businesses and owners and such a diverse group, and farmers and that this is a kind of open-ended question enough to get a lot of information.
Exactly, and that's what I personally love about Colerain is the diversity in demographics that we have. Feel free to put as little as you want. Feel free to write 4 paragraphs if you want. We're going to go through it, sort through all the answers, because we really want to hear what you have to say, because this is your home, and this is our workday home, but we want to treat it like our home too, and give you the best quality of life as well. So do as much as you'd like with the survey, but we just are happy if you take 5-10 minutes to participate in it.
And it's really easy to feel like, as government moves forward on projects, to feel like you're just a little voice. I can't really make a difference or have an input. This survey is accessible to everyone in the township. As soon as you go to imaginecolerain.com, it will actually pop up on your screen. A little pop-up window will say, take the survey. So that's where you get to put your voice in.
Exactly. And there's also a whole separate tab on Imagine Colerain for the survey. And you can also find links for it on Circle newsletter and our social media pages, Facebook and Twitter. Also, if you would like, we have physical printed out copies that you can contact our staff or some of our champions that are helping promote this survey to either fill out a physical one or mail it in, or just stop in our office and take time to fill it out if you'd like.
So if you're on your way to visit Grandma in Colerain, print out that survey and bring it, and you guys can talk about that together over Grandma's favorite cooking. This really sounds like a win situation.
Exactly. You can fill it out together. Knock
Excellent.
it out quicker.
Because you want everyone's voice on this, not just people who like clicking on things.
Exactly.
But that's fantastic. The other thing that is available to become part of this Imagine Colerain comprehensive plan is some online sessions that are coming up. Where can we on the website find a little more about those too?
So for our digital input series, which is happening every Wednesday starting on August 26th, you can go to Imagine Colerain, and there's links to sign up for our Facebook or like our Facebook post, and to follow us on Twitter. But you can also save the Facebook events or click on the links. There are Facebook events created for each of the 5 sessions, so you can click on those, save them to your calendar, whatever's easier for you. They'll be on Twitter as well, and also Circle newsletter will be cycling those out too to remind you.
Okay, so start at imaginecolerain.com, but when you're there, you can click through to the Twitter account and the Facebook account. And the advantage of Facebook is when you like a Facebook event, Facebook will keep reminding you. It will keep showing up, you have a Facebook event today. That's key, because that way if you forget, Facebook will remind you, here's a link. They're going to put the link to each of those digital input sessions up so that you can be in the Zoom session. You're not just watching it from the outside. You can be in the Zoom session and part of that conversation. So thank you so much for showing me these things.
Thank you, Dana.
Well, thanks so much for coming in and letting us know what's going on with the comprehensive plan, that it's Imagine Colerain, that folks can go to imaginecolerain.com. And also, though, for showing us how we can be part of that plan. So just really quickly, there's 2 ways we can do it. Taylor, what are they?
So you can take the survey, and you can join us for the digital conversations at the end of this month.
And Mike, we talked a little bit about this off camera, that this survey, when you're doing this survey at home, do it with your whole family, because your kids live in Colerain.
Exactly. Make it a family event. I mean, why not? Get the kids around, hop on your computer, order out for pizza, bring the family dog, I don't know. But get together and talk to other Colerain residents so that we can get your input, about the direction that you want Colerain Township to take in the future.
You're talking to your neighbors and that you have opinions about what wants to happen. And you know that your kids say things when you're driving down a street and they say, how come there isn't a this here?
Exactly.
That's the stuff you need.
Exactly.
Excellent. So thank you so much for coming, and I look forward to finding out more about this. I'm sure we'll see it at trustees meetings and zoning meetings as it moves forward.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thanks for having us down here at Waycross Studios.
Yes, thank you, Dana.
Pleasure. Thank you.